Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new fifth podcast, right? Today is fifth podcast. So today we'll be talking about a little bit about VR and VR traveling. So we got my team representative and our parent company, Ulan Transport, Rep, Marcus and Jimmy here today. Maybe we can have Marcus introduce himself to everybody.
My name is Marcus. I'm the manager in charge of the digital transformation for the FI group. So I'm happy to be here to share with you guys on what the virtual tour is all about in this industry. So hi.
Hi, I'm Jimmy. I'm the manager, head of MICE department, and I'm really enjoying talking to you all and sharing with you all my thoughts on virtual tours, and then we'll see what happens during this conversation.
So I'd like to ask Marcus, right? What is the concept, right, behind VR tour?
Okay, for virtual tour, I think the concept-wise for now, the big thing is about how tour industry can continue while the various travel restrictions are in place. So the next best thing that the tour agencies can do is conduct it via digital means, which means that it's to be done in the virtual mode. So we have seen players doing virtual tours in various modes. So there are the more conservative approach of shooting the various venues via virtual devices, whether it's conducted through 3D viewing and things like that, where there is no guide whatsoever. So that is actually placed on website. So that is no interaction in place. So we also see various models whereby there are guides that actually bring people online via live feeds to various attractions, where they try to bring some interactivity where the guys are actually moving to the various attraction points. So it's a mix of different approach where the industry is trying to make people not to forget about the traveling needs when if the travel bans are lifted and things like that. So I think the industry are trying to still get engaged with customers. Of course, by doing so, there's some trade-off. The experience is different, but I think it's a good thing that the industry are looking at using digital platforms like this to stay engaged and to stay relevant in times like that. Yeah.
So you are saying that right now industry are using VR tour to stay relevant, right? But my question is how relevant is this VR tour?
How relevant?
Like
how common is it? Is there any other people doing this already?
Yes, there are big players that are doing this, done this, and it's not for free. They are actually charging a small fee. While staying relevant, they are also looking at some cost recovery from the various resources and production that effort that they put in. And from my analysis on them, actually it picks up quite a big interest. Recently, they actually conducted a virtual tour to Europe. So what they do is that they actually conducted that virtual tour where we have seen people from all over the world, Asia, Europe, America, coming into the same platform at a assigned time slot. So what they do is that they will then go through the motion with live agents doing there in the particular area of interest. So at that point in time when they do that, they encourage interactivity amongst the various guests around the world. So they ask questions, they ask for participations, and for winners, they actually awarded promo codes for subsequent virtual tours. So they by doing so, the industry is creating a demand out of something that is new. So they are spending quite an effort to promote that as of now, and I think it's still good. And people, especially for people that may have some resource issues in terms of monetary, of not having to travel to places where they have never imagined, I think it's something worthwhile exploring. By doing so, you actually outreach to new markets, those I've mentioned earlier, that there's a small cost, and yet you can get more people online to join you in that effort. Yeah.
So how is it conducted right now? Virtual tour.
There's a given date, just like anything else. So you place your interest, you sign up, you make a payment. So when it happens, we log in, and then it just happens through the platform.
This virtual tours, how actually it works is that what they do is that they contact the local guide. There's a local guide who will then bring you around the places of interest in a city. Like for example, like when we're talking about Europe, say for example the city of Florence, they will be taking you to all the museums, all the attractions of the city, showing you all the great sculptures that were done by Michelangelo, Cellini, and all the different people. Like for example, also I think in Sea Trip they also have one, which is they've been doing it for Singapore as well, where they take you to the bird park, they show you, they talk to the bird keepers there, and they try and give you an interesting, as much as possible, virtual tour of the place, of the destination. Like they will go down to Marina Bay area, they show you where Merlion Park, they talk about the history, they talk about the interest, the development. So they talk about different tours, different things, attractions of the place, the history, the culture of the destination. So that's what they do in a virtual tour. It's a very good platform to go on, to promote the tour, so that when the COVID-19 virus curve flattens and people would want to go to all these places, it's an alternative for to sell the destination or to sell the attraction to a place. That's why a lot of the museums are doing virtual tours. There are virtual tours which, like what Mark has said, which are just 360-degree view of the place, and there are some which are guided. So it all depends on how they want to. Like right now, there are some even taking you to places like Machu Picchu, to different beautiful places. Egypt, to see the pyramids, to see River Nile, and everything.
So what sort of technology are we looking at for virtual?
Technological wise, I think it's still pretty much the standard. Handphone, digital cameras, 360. The more skilled approach is definitely using 360 to shoot. That require specific devices and skill sets. So that would be more costly. So we have seen that being done on specific museums where they actually spend quite an effort to do up the 360 virtual tours. So I don't see that picking up too much because of the skill sets and cost involved. But the relevancy of bringing virtual tours in a fast and agile method would be definitely using smart devices, handsets, cameras, just to bring it online, because it's all there. The cost to bring it, speed to market is there, the existing platform.
So the traveller, how they access it? They're using their browser or using...
It's either in-app to a specific provider or through browser. So typically a browser, I think, is the way to go. It's more cheaper.
A lot of these actually virtual tours, these guys are actually, I think, using GoPro cameras, handheld, very simple, very fast, very sharp, very efficient. Yeah, that's what they're using.
So they're doing live, or is it pre-recorded? Normally,
a lot of it is pre-recorded.
So you can play back anytime.
Yes, you can play back anytime, and then of course it's always on the web.
But the thing is, the difference between virtual tour and real tour. I mean, how do you think virtual tour can become another part of another way to push for people to go for a tour? Is it a complementary feature, or is something that can replace real tour?
I don't think it will replace. It will be a value-added service.
Yeah.
So moving forward, if post-COVID, I think it will stay. It will give the traveler a confidence even before they travel. So I'm envisioning that virtual tour will be a standard catalog that the industry will be providing to our customers. So meaning that in the past we see brochures, flat brochures, then it's up to their imagination or up to their own knowledge of what a place is. So I think moving forward, travel agents would definitely still look at how to effectively produce virtual tour or equivalence introductions so that it better equip the consumer with the knowledge that this is the tour for me. It's something that will stand out, and I think the industry will be adopting it quite widely moving forward. Yeah.
But we do have older audiences
Yes.
that does not have full access to, not say full access, that does not adopt new technology. So what will you tell these audiences about using VR tool?
So that depends on the touch points that we are looking at when this customer comes on board. So for travel, we have various retail outlets. So what we can look at is definitely providing the necessary simple devices at our outlets to let them experience there. But of course, it must be COVID-19 compliance with the necessary disinfectant and things like that. And and to address the point on their literacy in terms of digital devices, I think COVID-19 has brought towards the nationwide education of upscaling their digital device. So in terms of that competency, I would confidently think that even people of certain ages would simply have less resistance, not saying no, less resistance of even picking up what needs to be done to let them experience. Because after all, the content that we produce is of good benefit to them. So in terms of picking up, I don't think there's a challenge. So it all goes back, the value goes back to them in choosing a better product in certain matter. Yeah.
If I can add on to what Marcus just said, I think virtual tours will become part of a marketing system of promoting the tour for a company. Like, for example, the WTS, we go to Malacca very often. We go to Genting very often. We have our tours in Taiwan. With all these virtual tours, it helps WTS to promote our products, our services. It also helps us to show the customer our quality service, the quality of the product, how we conduct our tours and how we take care of our clients during post-COVID process. So in order for the older senior citizens to hopefully our retail outlets will always have a TV monitor somewhere where they can stand around, watch our virtual tours, and then from this we got back, and then they'll come and find out more information. How do we see more of these virtual tours? And say, well, go to our Facebook. It's on our Facebook. You can always see our virtual tours there, and it's a great marketing tool, technically, to me. And then you create the fun effect of the tour, the education side of it, what we call invoking the five senses, the mind, your smell, your sense, your hearing of the destination. So virtual tours can only show you the sound and sights. Whereas, when the person who's doing the commentary in the virtual tour and tell like, oh, you should come and the smell of the food is so great, the curry smell, the spices, it will invoke the person's sublimation of wanting to join the tour. So it's a great marketing tool actually. And I agree with Marcus, it will slowly become part of a marketing program on promoting promoting anyone's tours.
So it's but it's mostly through computer right now. Right? Do you think that there's VR goggle or this? Do you think in the future will that be possible for our travelers to experience the tour first before they actually goes there using VR goggles?
You can do that. It's being done with. I've seen hotels using that to promote their property so that people, when they wear the goggle, they can get that 3D effect of being at the resort or being at a hotel. Yeah, you can. But that one's, again, I would say a bit limited to audience because you're using the goggles. So you can do that during the WTS Travel Show or your own in-house roadshow where you want people to get a feel of the thing. That's the only time when you can use it.
What sort of experience can traveler expect from the VR?
I think the experience is the immersiveness of doing so, particularly in 360 degrees developed virtual tours. Because we are required to go through the virtual headset and things like that.
I think the excitement, to create the excitement, it also depends very much on the person who's presenting. He or she must invoke that excitement. Like you see in the food tours on television, how they excite you, even though you cannot taste the food, but the way they present the food that is so exciting, so nice to look at, so good to taste that, and how they prepare it. So likewise in the tour, it's how the presenter is going to be. If the presenter is going to be really fun, loving person, and the person shows you how it creates it, it's fantastic.
So to add on to that point, I think besides the contents consumption of having that immersiveness, if there is a certain point in time where we can bring in relevant local products, like what we've been doing for Pingo, right there in our retail outlets, together with the content that they see visually, so that it brings a step even closer to them having to go there and tasting similar food. So it all depends on how we chain up the experience through content creation and the relevant products that we have in line for them right here in Singapore that even entice them further to even want to spend more to travel to the actual location. So I think it's a combination of effort moving forward from a retailer like us to chain all those experience together to even entice them to travel more aggressively with bringing them more confidence about the choice of location that they're going is indeed the choice that they want to go. Because moving forward, I think people will be very cautious in terms of choosing their destination. Is this the right one for me? Because they have all those concerns about health, safety and things like that. So it adds that little bit of more customer confidence in them by helping them with all these small little things which are important to me. These are touch points which are important and essential.
So, from a consumer point of view, if I'm looking at a virtual tour, so it's a bit of going in and feeling the space out, getting the visual experience first before you make a plunge and go for the real tour.
Yeah.
So, moving forward, how far are we to bringing this experience to traveler for agency? What do you think? Is the technology that we need?
It's not so, I think it's the content that is the important part. The technical part is, of course, your editing and all that sort of thing. But the most important thing is the content. How you're going to present the tour, the experience of the tour, that is very important. From the beginning to the end, the delivery. Right now, if you watch a lot of the travel log on television, some of the content are very good, some of them are quite flat. Some of from my personal experience, is that some of the people, they bring you to destination where it's not that easily accessible even. So we have to make sure that the content that we bring in, it's places where it's easy accessible. We make sure safety is one of the most important things. Health-wise, cleanliness is some of the things that moving forward, a lot of the clients will be looking at. So we have to be reviewing the content of where we're going before we do the travel log for the clients.
So the thing is, VR tour is in terms of travel experience, I mean, I understand like the real tour you can feel stuff, like the touch, you got smell. But then in terms of experience, what does like VR tour, right? Virtual tour, right? How what sort of experience like can they fulfill for the customer that choose to go for a virtual tour first before they go for a full tour? Like for example, if I want to go for a virtual tour, what can I find from it that makes me feel that I still feel like I'm traveling through virtual tour?
So it comes in, I agree with Jimmy. So it comes in the form of content. So I agree that to a certain extent you can find existing videos that YouTubers are shooting. But from a retailer perspective, when we design a catalog products, very targeted areas that we want our customers to go, location A, location B. So it's about creating the same content from our own perspective that this is good for customers, that is closely related back to the products that we are selling. So we are actually providing a more relevant and more informed decision to our consumers moving forward, you see. So instead of them having to loosely search for locations, videos, and if not, it may be differ from what we are offering, we are actually producing a whole suite of experience. Before even you become our customers, we let you experience through visually, audially, what the location is about. That is very targeted to what or where we want to bring you across. So I would think that it builds up across in terms of experience. Even if you do not purchase at the end of the day, you actually experience it and think that this location is something you want to go or you want to go. So it also helps us and as a business to explore new revenue sources. I'm not saying that this could be something free. It could be chargeable at a minimal fee, which is something that we need to sustain this kind of new experiences to our consumer. Yeah.
Just moving forward, just to give you an example. Like for example, when we go to Chiang Mai, when we arrive in Chiang Mai, we take the people to the restaurant that our group is going to be eating. We can show them the kind of meal that we are going to be having. We can also, the chef can come out, introduce himself, and tell us about the dishes he's been preparing for our group and everything. And then after that, we can go for sightseeing, like go up into the mountains where we can see the different temples. We can tell them a little bit about it. We can show them the waterfall that they're going to and wherever they're going to. Then at the evening, we can go to the night market. We can walk with them through the night market, show them what they can buy, what are the things, what are the local handicrafts that Chiang Mai is famous for, like their porcelain, their Thai silk, their umbrella painting. So all these during the virtual tour, the people can see, they can see how the painting is done, the porcelain is being done. And we can even go to the cooking school. The group is learning how to cook. There's fun in cooking classes and that sort of thing, about learning about northern Thai cooking. So these become experiences for them, for the client to see what is being done and what they can do as well. Like what Marcus said, to produce this is going to cost a bit of money, and we may have to charge a small amount to recover our costs.
So it's like a sort of part of a digital experience.
Yes.
It's like you can jump in and then you jump out and then you're
Is it for me?
You're there. Is it something like this? Like I mean 360 videos and 360 pictures. Right? When I look at it, it's like okay, so maybe you are going to a perform. So maybe is it like they will see like this kind of 360 videos and maybe in the future VR bloggers to preempt them and give them sort of something to expect for, and then when they go there and then they it's like building them up towards the whole full experience.
Yeah.
So it's like so before tour, from my understanding is virtual tour will be something like where you experience things first, like in terms of visual experience. Sometimes maybe touch and smell with devices and booths that are very catered towards that virtual experience. Then while we are traveling, then we can actually look at places where we are going, and instead of just looking at flat pictures, we are actually going into that place virtually. So visually we get satisfied first, and then instead of in the bus you are looking at your phones or using your phones or reading some books, you are already there experiencing that place. So you are building up towards a higher experience. After you reach there, hey, you know what you finally hear. So it's like fulfilling something that you have been experiencing throughout, and then being there physically. Is that what virtual tour is like?
Okay, first, just to set the tone right, I think virtual tour, this word, comprises of normal videos and a 360 experience. The 360 experience, like mentioned earlier, may not be applicable for every experiences. I think it's of a less portion when we move forward. So the typical video shooting of the locations and the interactivity that we want to bring across in virtual tour should be a high demand. So I'm thinking that virtual tour, besides being an experience that we want to bring across to consumers, it can be also a selling tool for us in terms of, at that stage of virtual tour, we can even get our products people to be live hosts that while walking through the pre-recorded videos, they actually throw up questions, get potential customers or recurring customers to ask the specific questions that they may be of interest pertaining to videos they have seen. We can also empower them to tell us what are missing. Those constructive ideas can be then used from our end to refine the products that we want to introduce to customers. So it's an end-to-end thing where it can open new revenue sources in terms of the small monetary thing that we want to charge, and of course to recover costs. And it also adds as a new revenue of listening what consumers are looking for, because it's important that we sell products that is of certain relevance to what market demands are. Not saying that every comment we must take in, but as a experienced tour provider, it's also important for us to see what are the emerging trends of things that we might have missed out from what consumers may have wanted. So to me, it's a win-win thing. We offer something that brings us more revenue while also opening up source of information from open markets to improve ourselves. So that's how I say it.
Okay, so far have you had any plan or any location that you want to do the virtual tour first?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at doing some virtual tours for Singapore itself, local tours, and then from there we will progress on to the other virtual tours, or perhaps going to Malacca, going to Genting, following our buses, how we travel up, and getting to these places, and then showing them. And then slowly we move on to the other places of interest to people, greater attractions. Yeah.
So you say Singapore, do you have any place you have in mind?
Oh, Singapore, lots of places that you can start your virtual tours. In fact, Singapore, a lot of places that many Singaporeans themselves have not really even discovered. For example, a good one is, I don't know whether you all know, even in Singapore, we have our own leaning tower pizza. We have our own leaning tower. See? Although you don't know. Actually, it's in fact along a major road. The tower itself is leaning 5 degrees. Very much like the Tower Pizza. Yeah.
You want to tell us where is it?
No.
Well, if you come along with on one of our walking tours that we're going to launch, I will take you all there and show you. Yeah. In fact, a lot of the new interesting places. In fact, we also have one of the oldest buildings in Singapore, which was built in 1826. And Singapore was discovered in 1819. This building was built in 1820, and it's still standing today. Right? It is still being used today. It's one of our very important historical sites. So there are a lot of actually interesting things within our own backyard in Singapore that we have not discovered. And WTS, and we all can bring it to you and take you on all these walks and show you all the different places where you never know they existed. Where in Chinatown, in fact, we can show you where some of the old opium dens were as well, where people used to go and smoke opium. Yeah. And of course, Singapore is other areas where the railroad used to run all the way to Clemenceau Avenue. A lot of places that you may not know that's in Singapore.
So, like you talk about walking tours in Singapore, like, do you think locals will be interested in these type of tours?
Oh, yes. A lot of Singaporeans are also actually very interested in Singapore, rediscovering their neighborhoods. Like, for example, a lot of them, different dialect groups or set groups, they are quite surprised to discover, oh, this was where our forefathers or grandfathers used to come for coffee or whatever it is. Discovering the roots is a lot of Singaporeans like to rediscover the roots, and they like to bring the next generation along and remind them of their roots. Yeah.
So some of our travelers might think, they will think that, hey, I'm already a Singaporean, I can go anywhere I want. Why do I need to engage a tour service to bring me on a walking tour in my own backyard? What will you tell them?
A lot of them actually say that. They think they know, but when they start walking through on the tour itself, they start, their senses or their mind starts opening up saying, hey, I never knew this, or I never knew Singapore had this. Wow. Like, for example, the old traditional morning breakfast that we all have, the 3-minute egg, the toast, the kaya toast, the coffee. Where they come from, it all started when there was a revival. Everybody came to that. And you'd be surprised that even your 3-minute egg, your kaya toast and coffee, it's a staple breakfast for Singaporeans. It's not your mee pok or your noodles in the morning. This was the basic start breakfast for our forefathers before all the noodles all came about. And also, of course, the old traditional way of slurping and eating the 3-minute egg is, of course, very uncouth by drinking it down and drinking your coffee down rather than using a teaspoon to scoop it up. If you remember the old trishaw riders, they will crack egg on the plate, on your coffee plate, sprinkle pepper, dark soya sauce, beat it up a bit or stir it up a bit, and then drink it down, have the toast, drink the coffee, start work. So this was their breakfast. A lot of the Singaporeans never knew this.
You see, from what Jimmy has shared, personally my view is that Singapore got so much to do. You see, before for Singaporeans to start even traveling with you, how do we convince them? So I think virtual tour is something that we can use to educate softly and also to entice them to start traveling locally while waiting for the global markets to open. So because without Jimmy sharing with us like that, I wouldn't have known that Singapore has such a place. So how do we then promote that? Because skepticism will come in, really or not. So it's producing content, short, sweet, to entice them is something that I think will help the industry to travel locally in Singapore, especially when everyone thinks that Singapore is so small, nothing to do. I think there's things to do. It's just that it's how our duty as an agency, tour travel agencies, to bring the value of local traveling in Singapore out to them using methods like virtual tours. Yeah.
So is it like so from GB there's a lot of hidden gems in our own backyard that we might not understand. And then sometimes we use pictures and words. It's not enough to convey to our own people that hey, actually your own country got a lot of fun things happening here. So we are with virtual tours and our more advanced technology, we are able to give them a feel of it first before they hey, why don't we try this out? They soften their stance and they say, why don't we do it like? Okay, then another question is like that. If I soften my stance already. You tell I from your content and your virtual tour, I understand that actually at Singapore there's this sort of places. Then this is a very it might be a the question is I will still ask as a consumer, I will still ask. No, I can still go myself. Why should I find you?
Yeah, true. It's like anywhere else. You know of these places. Like, for example, you know of the Louvre Gallery, you know of Tower of London, you know the London Bridge, or you know of the Empire State Building. There are a lot of big attractions that you know. But the problem is that it's not just the building or the attraction itself. It's the story behind it. What is this? Who is this person who built this? Or why did the person choose this kind of design in this building? You know, what is the influence? Who was this person? What was this person's background? You know, that sort of things that make it a place attraction. It's now we're talking about the experience. You go, for example, you walk into Chinatown. Yeah, everybody can walk into Chinatown. But who are the people that created this Chinatown? What was their life? That's what you want to know. The backyard, the people who've been living in Chinatown. You go to Chinatown, it's very interesting. But why do you, when you go to Chinatown today, and you go to where the Buddha Tooth Relic Temple, you see old people sitting there. They're very happy playing checkers. They're playing, having coffee and chit-chatting there. But these people, you find that if you have time and you talk to them, they can tell you a lot of stories about Chinatown that you never knew. What was it? Where it was, how life was in Chinatown.
So you need a tour guide.
You do need a tour guide. They will tell you the story. It's like Arab Street. There's lots of little things that you wouldn't know. Like, for example, even Sultan Mosque, there's a very architectural important thing. If you look up, there's a belt of, underneath the dome, there's a black belt that looks like a black belt, but they're all circles, actually all bottles collected by the poor people that donated, that helped do the fundraising. So the Sultan respected the poor as well as the rich who paid to build.
You see, from the way Jimmy shared, I also want to go. The thing now that, to answer Eric's question on whether people can go by themselves, yes, you can go yourself. But it's the experience that we want to change altogether by traveling with WTS Travel. From proposing to you the location to go, we provide you with the relevancy of whoever the local tour agents that equip you with additional, unknown, or practically hidden knowledges that you and your family can learn in this journey. So it's more of a small traveling experience in Singapore and a big learning experience that you can gain with local tours like that. Because without Jimmy sharing earlier, I also don't know about so much things. So I think it's the end-to-end experience that we want to bring forth with visual, with educational factor, where family bonding becomes important, where your kids can join you. If Papa got like that, I also don't know, but travel agents say have. Then you think a bit deeper, which indirectly can help you conserve heritage knowledge to generations. So I think it's something that is worthwhile doing. And I think the industry should be picking up on local traveling with immersed knowledge and educational factor in it. Because Singapore visually, definitely not as stunning as overseas, but it's all this ancestral knowledge that I think will be eventually cleansed off somehow. But is an effort that we bring forth in this kind of experience that preserve that heritage moving forward.
So it's like, am I right to say it's like, from what Marcus says, we are going for, if you want to go to some place, you all can go there. You all can read it up there, but you can read up, you can find anything about it, online, videos and the stuff. But then it's a bit different when you go there with your families and then with a tour guide there, telling stories to you about these places, bringing that places to life. It's like transporting you back to the 80s, the ancestral era, and then how it looks like, giving you the visual feeling. Coupled with a VR tour, actually you can build something like they can go and take a look at those old places, and then they look at the juxtaposition of what it looks like right now. It's like the shophouses now and the shophouses then, they are a big difference, right? Then people always feel that we lost the heritage, but actually going towards the shophouses now is also a story and a history behind why you go all these places.
Yes.
I think maybe from what I understand is through tours, professional tour guide, you understand the story behind all this instead of, hey, why this sound change now? I want to see that. It's not about seeing things, it's about seeing things and experiencing the story behind it, and then ultimately appreciating it. So that you have a full family experience. It's not just going out to shopping centers to just buy stuff, bring it back, get the quick satisfaction from buying something. It's like memories that you can keep, and then when you meet your friends, you can tell them. Is that how a local can look at for local tours and like the heritage routes with their family? Is that what we all?
Yeah.
Is that how you like?
Yes, not necessarily a heavy overdose, but what people today not really want. I mean, they want the history, but they don't need the whole history class. But what they want is to know what the locals' life was. That's what people want to, like when our forefathers came, how they were working as other coolie, carrying sacks of rice down to the bumboats along Singapore River, how they made their fortune and everything. So these are the things, how they lived and how they made their money was one of the things. It was also like, for example, food was another thing. How people looked at food and how they cooked their food and how they made their money from, for example, chicken rice and that sort of thing. A lot of Singaporeans go to Hainan Island and think that they can find chicken rice out there. But it doesn't really exist because chicken rice originated here in Singapore. Yeah, it's like also looking at curry fish head. Curry fish head is a very famous local dish, but when Singaporeans go to India, they think they can find curry fish head out there. In fact, I brought Indians from India to go and have curry fish head. They look at me, what are we eating? It's so revolting eating fish head. They don't eat fish head. It's something local. So there's a story behind it, how all these food were created. So when you go on a walking tour in Little India, you will find and you will learn, you will find the sensory smell of the spices that is used in Indian cooking, all available there, and you can discover some of the heritage food, that is being cooked here, but not even found back in the homeland. So it is actually very interesting where you travel not only to experience a destination, but to learn about the destination, the backstreet, how everything is. So it's very fascinating, it's very interesting and fun to go on a walking tour because a tour bus cannot get into the back streets. You cannot go into the little shops to look at how these shops are, what they're selling and everything. Yeah.
So it's like a new experience. It's like
It is.
It's like it's not just visual experience, but it's a walk towards the past and then looking at the futures and then appreciating what we have right now and how we come about. Something like that, right? And I think with VR tour is the thing you can do with VR tour is because right now without technology, right, when you go to a place, right, you are looking at the place how it looks like right now. But I think with VR tour, we can experience it on how it looks like before that. Is that the something VR tour can bring to our
Yes,
customers?
it can. It's exactly like what Mark said at the very beginning. When you have a tour brochure, everything is very flat. You can write so much, but with a VR tour, you can actually see, you can actually more or less get a feel of the place and whether it's interest to you, whether it evokes your mind. Say, wow, that's a very interesting place to go to.
I think you also need a voice over in the video to talk about the place.
Yes.
So you can
Yeah. The storytelling becomes the most important thing.
So we are focused so much on pre-traveling experience of using VR. I think the next big thing would be post-traveling with VR.
Yes.
How you close the loop with VR and VR.
Like for post VR tour, right? What is your experience people can look forward to?
I think for post VR trip, the industry can look at how we can close the experience with more relevancy after completing the tours. So you may imagine providing very tailor-made specific contents that's pertaining to these particular groups, where it provides an end-to-end experience from having to decide using a VR to traveling and then having a tailor-made contents that they can make reference to just like a photo album. This could be a collection of stories and memories that they can be used next time. So this could be a new trend here. Yeah, frontier moving forward. Yeah. And something WTS Travel will be looking at definitely, because our strength here is to bring end-to-end experience and to bring very unique experience to our local travelers. So yeah.
I think Marcus is right. So moving forward in tours, right? I think in Singapore, overseas or post tour, I think VR will be playing deeper roles in local tours, and I think once we have more information and more, we are closing in on the products that we want to bring to you, right? We'll bring them back here again, and then they'll share with us like how far have we gone and what can you get as a customers, as a traveler from us, more than just a normal tour experience. Right?
Yes.
Then so speaking of Pingo, right? We do have an online platform right now selling native foods. Mainly it's from Malaysia right now. So you can go to pingo.com.sg and browse through our catalog, and maybe you get something out there.
Sure, get on.
So next question, do you have any shout out to our audience?
What?
Shout out. Like you want to thank
Shout.
anyone? You have anything to say to them?
Well, I do look forward to all our WTS clients joining our tours when the gateway opens up again for traveling. Look out for new experiences that we're going to be bringing to you. Not only going overseas, but locally as well for you to experience. WTS Travel is a homegrown Singaporean company. We want to bring you that flavor, giving you that great experience. So, and evoking all your senses, not only through food, but through experience in our trips that we do for all the different generations. For the seniors, for the older generation, bringing back the memories. For the older generation to share with the younger generation what it was like and what is it today. So that's what we want to give to all of you, the experience. Yeah.
So for Marcus, any shout out to our audience or anyone?
To our audiences, WTS group of companies are doing our very best to still stay relevant and still stay engaged with you despite the pandemic, which are very limited due to the distance and the extent of the services that we can provide to you face to face, which is more than anything else. However, the digital touch points that we have been discussing all this while and our transformation plans are all part of our effort to provide you and ensure that we are here to stay with you for the longest year ahead. So for travel and our group of companies who have been in existence for decades, we are looking at more plans along the pipeline to bring forth and even engage you more, even if the COVID-19 goes away. So these are all steps, and this will be continuous steps that the group of companies and WTS Travel will be taking in bringing more experience, bringing more value for money, and staying ahead of our competitors just to stay engaged with you and stay relevant with you. Yeah.
So like to finish up, it's like VR tours. We are talking about VR tours, right? Then we shifted a bit to why those first want to come to our local tours. The thing is actually they are also interpreted in a way because what people can look for VR tour is another sort of experience, a bit of a more digital experience, more visual, and being able to look at the past right in your face instead of just imagining it, give you more realistic view of stuff, right? Then in terms of local tours, right, it's not just about going to a place there, doing something there. It's about going to that place, doing something there, and experience the place and find out why does this place exist. And that's why Jimmy and Marcus, you all feel that, that's why you all should find us, because we are professional. We can bring you to these places and we can give you a good experience. If you are looking for experience, then you should consider looking for local tours and then bringing your families or your loved one along to experience Singapore like you never experienced it before, or get more insight on what is really here. Like sometimes you go to a town or you drive past, or you take a bus, you drive past the Merlion. That one, a lot of people already know about the Merlion, but there's other places like what Jimmy said, there's also a Leaning Tower of Pisa in Singapore. So we'll bring you that. We'll bring you there. Then a lot of other places as well, and even coast and stuff. I think that's what we covered today, right? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, for those who have actually bought durians from Pingo, next time you can join us. We'll bring you to the farm where we get those durians from. Those durians have been really good. I'm not just saying it for the sake. I tasted it. It's really good. So we'll bring you to the farm and let you actually have that experience of seeing how those durians were grown, and we'll have the durian farmer himself tell you how to look at and buy good durians and how the whole durian process is being done to get good durians. How about this?
Last word with the audience. Continue to feedback to us, because we like to hear from you more than our engagement with you should continue, but it's also important for you to reach out to us, because your feedback is definitely more important than anything else for us to provide more services that's very relevant to you. So continue to engage with WTS Travel through our Facebook channels or the various loyalty programs that you may know of. We'll be gladly responding to your queries and feedbacks for exciting products that you can help craft and bring towards the market. So it's a journey. We want to engage with you. You help us, we help you. So this model should continue, and we wish to see more engagement between both sides, consumers and our business model moving forward.
Okay, so to close up everything, right? Okay, so guys, thanks for listening to us, and because we will be doing a video premiere, when you are seeing this, actually we are in the chat. I should have said earlier, but if you all got questions and things that you want to ask, right, you can ask, and we'll try our best to answer you. And then for if you have missed our previous podcast, right, you can find us at Spotify or at our YouTube channel. I will list it somewhere here. And then also help us to like and share this post. And if you feel that you have friends or family members that they are skeptical about local tours or VR tours, do let them listen into this podcast and give them a little bit more opportunities to open up and find out more about local tours. And if you are looking for experience tour locally, then drop a feedback on our comment section, or you can PM us, and look forward for more this type of podcast coming up. And I think that's about all, right? Maybe anything you want to do? So, see you guys. Bye.
Bye.